Hi, I'm Julie, Fei-Fan Balzer, and today I want to show off my homemade traveler's notebook. This is my DIY homemade traveler's journal, and it is cobbled together from about a million different tutorials. So let me start at the very beginning. So the very beginning is I had two kinds of leather. These were just little remnants that I bought at the fabric store. I had this plain white leather, and I have this green leather. They're not two kinds, I guess. Well, this is much thinner. Is it? It feels it. This is softer. This is tougher. But regardless, it was just plain white, so I painted it. So this cover is actually this leather. It's just I painted it with leather paints, and that's how that happened. You can see it makes a nice wrap around and inside. So I have this elastic. That's the other thing I guess I should point out, which comes through a hole that I punched in the leather. Leather, you don't need to finish the edges because it doesn't rip or tear. So that's one of the nice things about using it. So you can see it's just a hole that I punched right through there. And I also painted, and again, another plain white piece of leather stripes. And in the back, I have another plain piece of white leather. Now, I had a lot of trouble stitching through the leather. You may notice that things aren't exactly straight. Now, the issue is that this, okay, is two layers of leather being sewn through. If the pocket were to go against here, it would actually then become 3 layers because it would have to go through the pocket, the green, and the outside, and my machine just was not having it. Now, people have since told me that I should have used a leather needle, a Teflon foot, and I suppose I should have done all those things, but I didn't. So that's why things are kind of cut funny. But the point is, this is a pocket. I wanted to be able to keep, you know, all of my tools and stuff in the journal itself so that I could actually fill this pen pocket with quite a number of things, you know, zip it up and be good to go. Now, the reason I'm okay with it being in here is because I have these removable dashboards, but I'll talk about that in a minute. I want to finish up with the pockets. So I also wanted to include a nice big pocket here. And the reason for that is because my current journal is just slightly smaller than I'd like it to be. And I wanted to be able to fit in some larger items. I'm not sure if this, oh yeah, this is an 8.5 by 11 piece of paper folded in half. And you can see it fits in. It's actually a whole bunch of them. And that was important to me because I often have papers and stuff that people give me and my current journal doesn't really fit them. So actually what this is, fancy, is this is, I just printed this out on my computer. And then you can see I stapled poorly. Not very well, actually. I stapled it together. But so this is my daily log so that I do no longer have to draw lines of any kind. And you can see that it just lines up right across there. I thought about stitching them because the stapling does leave a kind of pucker here as opposed to sewing. But then I was like, Julie, I feel like you're getting psycho. So this is my daily. And I'll show you that in the book in just a minute. But let me go back now just to the front pocket. So again, it has a nice big pocket where I know I can stash some things. Let's say you wanted to put a birthday card in there or whatever, right? It's just big enough to really handle some things. Then it also has these smaller pockets, which are supposed to be business card sized. Again, I had some sewing problems. That's that whole layering thing. So they're a little bit cattywampus. Like this one goes kind of not in a straight line, and this one too, but you know, you get the gist that you could put in some smaller items, business cards, or you know, embellishments, or let's say you wanted to take your important stamp or something like that with you, you know, it just tucks right in. So it was important to me to have all of those pockets built into the physical structure of the actual book. Then I saw a tutorial which I loved, and I altered slightly to fit my needs for magnetic dashboards. So basically, there are 2 magnets, one on this side, one on this side, and they connect together. And that means that when you're flipping through this, there's not all these papers flapping everywhere. They're nice little clean, closed books. Now, I used vinyl. which is just my handwriting, and then I cut it out with the scan and cut, and that's how I know what's in each of these. So this is my index. This is just dot grid paper in here. So if I take it out, you can see it just has that light grid on it. So I bought this dot grid paper. It actually was for like a roll-a-bind or like one of those things where you put the rings in. And I just sliced those off. And again, just stapled it into a little book because I couldn't find just plain dot grid and I didn't want to print it all. So, and then of course you could take this entire thing out. In fact, let's strip the book down so you can see the structure. So then calendar, and again, everything that's in here, as I promised, there's that calendar. Okay, so all of the prints and stuff that are in here, these are jelly prints and paintings and like other stuff that I just had sitting around, and it was like, why not use them because they're pretty, and then just vinyl on the outside, 2 magnets. Okay, so you can see that this says business. I made a lot of decisions about what I was putting where based on how my current bullet journal works, and inside there's just more dot grid on here, but I wanted to be able to divide my business stuff separately from what you'll see back here, which is personal, so that I could just keep the notebooks completely separate. Because sometimes, you know, you're in a business meeting, your book's open, the facing page is something personal, and you don't really want to share that with the world. So, and vice versa. Anyway, this one right here says sketch, because I did a whole video where you probably saw this one already, so I won't go over it in detail. But basically, I wanted to be able to have a place that I could draw completely separate. So here is palette paper and my palette, which these both come out, so they're completely separate. And then here is my sketchbook. I actually have my first little painting in here that I did. So I'm really excited about that one because currently in my bullet journal, the drawings are all kind of spread out. It'll be really nice to have them all in one unified place. And then personal, more dot grid. There you go. So I just really like the dot grid. I could have used lined, and maybe in a future one I'll use lined paper because it'll be easier to find, but I like that I can do things then that aren't completely like, you know, within the lines, etc. But we'll see. Now that I have a separate sketchbook, I may not need it. Now here you can really see the structure of the traveler's notebook. So you can see there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of these, and of course there were 5 of these inserts, okay, or dashboards as they're called in the planner world. Now what this is that is, you can see this cord that's leading right out to the back. So that's just the way that I had to do it because I wanted the cord to really minimally show on the outside. I could have had these straps all running down the back, but I didn't like the way it looked and I thought it might get caught in my bag. So you can see this is the only evidence on the outside of this whole spine is at the top, the bottom, and the middle. Now this is really soft leather, so you can see it pulls a little bit here. If you used a harder, firmer leather, then it wouldn't pull like that. So the other nice little innovation here is you see these kind of, I don't know what you want to call them, wraps or something. I had to end all of these elastics, but the problem is I didn't want to tie a bunch of knots because I didn't like the way it looked. So I secured the ends with a little bit of craft wire. This is just some really thin 28 gauge, I mean really thin wire. So I wrapped it around where the 2 ends met. Let's see, right? You can see there's 2 pieces of elastic here going to 1, so there's an end in here. That was just to secure it. And then of course I didn't want to catch myself on the wire, so I just covered it with electrical tape. It's not the most beautiful solution, but it's a lot cleaner than having the knots. And I thought like overall, I preferred the look a little bit. Okay. So you can see I was tugging on this, and that's because these 2 are attached. This is actually the same one, and these 2 are attached. It's like a loop. So this is like a loop, and then this one in the center is another loop. So that's sort of how that works. So then when I want to put the book back together, and let's say I decide like this order of books doesn't work for me, I need to rearrange it. Well, guess what? I can do that. If I want to add in another one, I can. There's all sorts of tutorials online for adding to your traveler's notebook additional elastics and all kinds of stuff. But I'm sort of thinking, I'm glad that I started in a bullet journal because it really allowed me to explore like what I need, what categories I work in. Like I don't think I could have gone from 0 to traveler's notebook. Maybe other people could, but I needed a little bit of time to figure things out. And now that I have, I feel like I've got a really good plan for how I'm going to use this. Now I have decided not to use this one until my current bullet journal is full. Just because I'm like only halfway through that book and it seems like a real waste to sort of get rid of it. So I'm going to continue working in that one. And then when it's full, I will turn over. And then I assume I'll have a shoebox or something full of basically like these inserts will get labeled with numbers or letters, and then I'll be able to look through the index and be like, oh, that's in booklet whatever. And I'll be able to find what it is that I need. And I just keep switching out the little inserts, but I'll keep this outside, you know, forever, or for as long as it's useful. But I really love the way it turned out. I'm super excited to use it. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you'll visit my blog at balzerdesigns.typepad.com and of course subscribe to my YouTube channel and show off your awesome traveler's notebook.